It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Sports This Week. I'm Rupha Ramani and I'll get you all the big stories from the world of sports in the week that was. We'll start off, of course, with cricket. India drew the series against England in a sensational win at the Oval. Who were the heroes who disproved England's pundits even as fans trolled Michael Vaughan? Uncertainty in hosting Women's World Cup matches is hovering over the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru as their own IPL teams mismanaged post-win celebrations thrown a spanner in the works. Will the legacy of Bengaluru be affected? Who will it hurt the most? Divya Deshmukh speaks to us right after getting back home from a World Cup triumph. What was her journey like and how did she respond to Magnus Carlsen's claims? Saudi club Al Hilal has refused to play the Super Cup, citing fatigue. They've been punished, but is this enough? What's the actual solution to growing the sport in a country that wants to dream big? And Lewis Hamilton has a bit of a breakdown after Hungary. He says he's useless and should be replaced in Ferrari. What's gotten to the champion and where is this heading for the team Ferrari? All of that heading your way. Victory tastes sweeter when the odds are stacked against you. You're least expected to win and yet you managed to somehow. It was going to be a close fight, but the chances of an Indian victory on day 5 against England was minuscule. Yet it proved to be a story of redemption for India. The lead actor in that narrative was Mohammad Siraj, one bowler who's gone through so many different emotions all in the course of a very short test career. From carrying on to play despite losing his father right in the middle of a tour to being a part of some glorious Indian chapters in the longest format, Siraj has showed us all why he's not just a step-in side performer, but can very well be the main lead. More than anything, it was redemption for him, moments that would have haunted him had the result been otherwise, like the tragedy at Lord's, where he was stranded, and the dropped catch when Brooke was merely on 19. I'm sure all of that was swirling around in his head on day 5. He said he couldn't sleep beyond 6 a.m. on the last day of the test. The man who looked up to someone else to lead him had to do the job himself. Now, for someone who always kept faith on Jassi, his teammate Jasprit Bumrah, it was time to deliver that himself. A Google screenshot of the word believe, Cristiano Ronaldo for inspiration, and Siraj nailed it. That Yorker and the sound of the stumps shattering, music, relief, getting everyone up on their feet.
From day one, everyone fought hard and the result is there to see. If I had taken that catch properly, probably we may not have had to come out today. When I woke up today, I had the belief that I could do it. I had the belief system. I took a photo from Google which read, "I can do it," and put it as my wallpaper.
In fact, this was a redemption story for many others too who were part of that squad. Rishabh Pant, who went from stupid against Australia to sensational against England. Yashasvi Jaiswal, from dropping catches and sitters to contributing with a valuable 100 in the last test. Washington Sundar, is he the next big spin bowling all-rounder for India? He came into every test match under pressure and only came out on top with bat and ball. He defended just as well as he attacked, and Washington Sundar was yet another symbol of what a new India that is fearless looks like, that believes it can claw its way out of any situation and has the confidence of looking defeat in the eye and telling it not today. There was redemption for Ravindra Jadeja, who cricket experts wanted to be dropped after that first test. His patience and maturity out in the middle is one of the reasons that India could level the series. Pressure on the head coach Gautam Gambhir has been immense, and for a moment there you thought it was all getting to him. Now I understand why. He was trying to shepherd a new young Indian team into the next phase, and they are staring at yet another loss, this one to England. A side without its seniors was under pressure to perform here. The jubilant scenes post the win, particularly in the dressing room, told us all what this 2-all draw really meant to each one of them, because they had finally shut down all critics. Almost every English commentator, expert who called an English win, and a resounding one at that. Voices like Michael Vaughan, who flippantly said this series against India would be an ideal warm-up for England ahead of the series. Like this was some practice match, a place to experiment before the big one later on. Indian fans launched into all of those comments and ripped Vaughan apart. The tour, in fact, will be most remembered for the fiery moments that both India and England engaged in throughout the tour. The send-offs, the taunts, players on both sides trying to get under the skin of the opponent. This was war, and that's why this series leveller is one for the ages. It was salvation for Captain Shubman Gill too, who showed all doubters a glimpse of how he could be a leader and score all the runs. He was top scorer of this tour, and that he was capable of handling the heat too, the intensity of England coming at him and of course managing to take his team forward. As KL Rahul said after the test wrapped up, these 5 matches took every little bit out of each and every member of that dressing room. They had to channel every ounce of their skills, their willpower to get here. And that's what this win should recognize. This new Indian team has showed that big names mean nothing, nor do the records. The legacy of venues, past history, the intimidating opponents on the day, none of that matters, because they do not want to be burdened by the baggage that comes with it. They want to play free and expressive cricket and truly believe that nothing can come in their way in doing so. That they will make sure they will disprove everyone wrong, even if it took the whole series in doing so. The city of Bengaluru and its cricket culture has just been delivered a massive blow, a consequence of the long drawn out, heart-wrenching saga post the Indian Premier League, where a stampede killed 11 people and injured many others, turning an act of celebration into a horrid episode. So what does this latest ruling imply? It calls the Bengaluru cricket stadium unsafe. That happened some days ago, but the question now is, what could this impact and who does this ruling hurt the most? Now, RCB is a club that has a massive fan following. Both the men's and women's teams have built a strong connect with the local fans. This despite RCB's legacy of being a side way too talented to go winless. The women, of course, brought some respite when they lifted the WPL title in 2024, putting the onus on the men's team this year. And come 2025, IPL's 18th edition and Virat Kohli's jersey number 18 got people thinking this was destined to be. That this would be the year Virat Kohli would earn redemption and taste IPL victory finally. And it happened. But here's the tragedy. What was supposed to be a moment of pride, ecstasy and euphoria turned into one of nightmare. The stampede right after an ill-thought-through, badly planned post-win celebration marred the victory itself. The matter went to the courts. The IPL franchisee and the state authorities got into a bit of a tussle, and the strike came down hard on the IPL team RCB. They, along with the Karnataka Cricket Association, were held squarely responsible for the utter mayhem and the deaths, and rightly so. But who does this impact the most? It's you, the fans, because with the court deeming the stadium to be unsafe for any major events, there is a question mark on now the Women's World Cup fixtures that was scheduled for this venue to host. Now, the Chinnaswamy Stadium is one of the smaller venues in the country, in India. It can only seat around 40,000 spectators. Now, while that is a relatively large number, especially when you look at stadiums outside the country, it is a relatively smaller number for India, going by the population and the interest and attendance cricket normally generates. Plus, the stadium is far more compact for a 44,000 capacity. Let's look at the boundaries. They are smaller. Circumference is less compared to the other venues in the country itself, just around the 60 to 65 meter average all through the ground. So it basically resembles a cauldron that's packed in with a lot of people. In fact, recently the KSCA, Karnataka State Cricket Association, were forced to move the Maharaja Cup T20 tournament that was set to take place in Bengaluru over to Mysore. And with the authorities yet to get the necessary clearance from the state government to host matches in Bengaluru, there is uncertainty over the Women's World Cup games. The tournament begins on the 30th of September, and the opening game, in fact, between India and Sri Lanka is scheduled to take place at the Chinnaswami. The KSCA, though, seem hopeful. Now, why is it imperative that Bengaluru hosts the World Cup games? I'll tell you why. The 4 cities that have been picked to host the Women's World Cup are Bengaluru, Indore, Guwahati and Visakhapatnam. Those are the 4 cities: Bengaluru, Indore, Guwahati and Visakhapatnam. Barring Bengaluru, all other venues are Tier 2 cities. Now, while that works for a men's game, which generally has more attendance, it doesn't play out when it comes to the women's matches. Bengaluru is the only Tier 1 city in that list and the only venue that can hope for a full house, a full attendance. I'll tell you why. Reason 1, cricket is big here. They have a culture that is deep-rooted. Cricketers from the state who have gone on to represent the country. There is history, there is legacy. Reason 2, there's an IPL and a WPL team, both successful and that have a huge fan following. We've established that. The vice captain of the national side is an RCB captain, so the spectators will come in hordes. Reason 3, the avid interest in sport itself in the city. They have a thriving ISL team where the captain of the national side, till he retired, of course, is the face of the Bengaluru FC, Sunil Chhetri. India's golden boy Neeraj Chopra recently hosted an athletics event in the city, one of a kind. The city loves sport, and that's why it's important that the Women's World Cup matches go on here. But that's where this story is stuck, because it's this very passion and love that has ironically hit a pause button on a love affair that would have continued and flourished happily had that awful stampede not taken place. While it's a moment to reflect and retrospect for authorities to learn from this heinous episode, it will be disappointing if a World Cup that India should proudly host will pay the price as collateral damage.
You know, Divya, interesting you say this, because there's this video that I'm reminded of a while back when Vaishali was asked autographs, and she was giving autographs, and you're cheekily coming up and saying, ma'am, I also want one. Does it feel strange to be on the other side now for a change?
I mean, I think I have always been on the other side for a few years now,
Of course.
so it's not new, but every time it happens, it makes me feel special.
Yes, undeniably so. I mean, it's been a while coming, and you were always getting there. But then now with the Grandmaster and of course candidates as well, is it all a bit too much, or do you feel like this is it now and there's no looking back?
No, no, it's. I think God only gives his challenges to people who are capable of taking it on. So I'm hoping this is what he has in it for me, and I'm hoping I can take it on.
Yes, we obviously want to see more of you, Divya, and a lot more in the months to come. But you know, I saw this interview recently of Magnus Carlsen being asked, so who's the India talent you think is on the rise and could be the star? And he said none. Would you like to correct him?
Uh, I I'm not sure how to answer this question.
Okay, I mean, see, look, I mean, I understand. You know, for everyone, you know, he's the one who sort of popularized the sport, you know, in many ways. So it's kind of difficult to always, see him as a competitor and kind of say, okay, you know, this is what I feel, and maybe you're wrong, but I get the sense that he likes being corrected too. In that sense, do you feel that sense of, making it more and more evident of how strong a country India is, especially when it comes to the sport?
I think India is here to stay and to dominate. I think it was convincingly proven last year when we won the Olympiad, both our men's and women's team. And I think definitely there's no need to reiterate it because the world knows that we are here. We are here to, we have announced it. And also these recent successes, I think they keep proving it to the world that India is here to dominate.
You know, one of the pictures that really stayed with all of us as well, Divya, when you won, was, obviously how you were taking it. You did a fab job of really, keeping it in and not sort of melting down into the whole moment, but also how you sort of, you hugged your mom. Namrata's been with you through the journey. Just tell us about how important a role does family play here, because you guys are constantly traveling, and especially with you and your mother. Just take us through how important a role that she's played in your career.
I think my mom, both my parents, they've had the hugest role in my career because, of course, without my parents, I would not have been here. Without their sacrifices, their hard work, whatever they've done for me, I think I owe it all to them. And also during this tournament specifically, I got sick in, I think, round 2.
Okay.
Right at the start of the event.
Yeah.
So I was so lucky that I had my mom, and she's also a doctor, so I was even luckier that she could treat me and I could get better easily.
I obviously also want to ask you about, sometimes with all of this, it's easy to forget that you're still a teenager. I see your painted nails, and I see, how you like to, dress well, do all of that. When you won, for a moment you think, okay, now it's time to shop, and now it's time to just go and, have some downtime instead of going back to, getting back to the board and preparing for the next one?
No, I do not have those thoughts during the event because, of course, I had to be focused during the event. But after I was done with the entire thing, I was definitely thinking, oh, maybe I can wear a nice dress and stuff like that.
All right. Just to sort of wrap up, thoughts ahead? Have you even started thinking about what next? What your goals are and how you're going to tackle it? Because, of course, there's the candidates as well, but that's next year. There's many other tournaments coming up. Thoughts ahead of that? How do you keep yourself grounded at this point?
Yeah, I think definitely it's been quite a chaotic week, so I haven't had much time for myself. But I think definitely now moving forward from this, it has been a very special tournament for me. But I'm hoping that this is just the start, and I'll be playing next month in Grand Swiss.
Okay.
So I want to prepare for that. I want to focus all my energy there now, and of course, candidates. It's the goal for now.
And what about messages coming in? What about your compatriots and others who you play alongside? Have you been able to speak to them yet? Any of the other Indian chess players after Georgia, coming back from Georgia?
I've received a lot of messages, but unfortunately, my schedule is so packed right now. I haven't had time to check it.
No, I understand. I understand. Just a message then, Divya, before we go. You kept talking about how all these kids, you see all these kids coming in, taking your name, cheering for you. That's an amazing feeling as is. Just a word, as someone who also has come up the ranks as a young Indian girl here in India, to anyone else who wants to take the sport up, what are your thoughts to them? What do you think is what is required, and your message?
I would tell them that, okay, first of all, I would definitely tell them that for them, I think the most important thing should be their ambitions and their goals.
Yeah.
And if they are actually very passionate about it, I don't think that there is anything that can stop them. So
Yeah.
I would want the girls to have insanely huge dreams, because the bigger the dreams, the more closer to the reality you get to achieve them.
Wow, love the sound of that, Divya. And Gukesh decided to bungee jump afterwards. Is there something else that you want to do after this one?
I have been asked by a couple of people when my bungee jumping is, but I don't think my mom's gonna allow me.
See, there it is again. Yeah, mummy ne nahi bola, so let's not
Yes.
go there. No, I
Yeah.
understand that, but let's hope that you reach soaring heights in other ways, and it doesn't have to be via bungee rope. All the best, Divya, and waiting to see
Thank
more of you.
Thank you so much.
Saudi Arabia's sporting rise has always come with one label: money. Spend big, build grand, and bring the stars. But the one question that never went away: does it have substance? Now, even that perception is changing, because Saudi Arabia isn't just spending, they are building. And part of creating a true sporting ecosystem is holding all those invested in it accountable. But the question is, what is Saudi doing, and is what they are doing enough? Let's talk about the sport Saudi Arabia is falling head over heels for. It's football. The nation is charging ahead, a growing stable league. Cristiano Ronaldo as the poster boy, FIFA 2034 World Cup hosting rights in the bag, but the cynics still asked, is this just about the money? That narrative started to change at the FIFA Club World Cup. Al Hilal stunned the world, beating Man City, RB Salzburg, and putting up a fight against Real Madrid to reach the quarterfinals. Now, it was a moment that showed Saudi football has skill, it has grit and quality. That there was more to this setup. But right after that came chaos. Instead of capitalizing on the momentum, Al Hilal pulled out of the Saudi Super Cup. Their reason? Fatigue from their Club World Cup campaign. And mind you, this isn't just any tournament, it's a prestigious 4-team event between winners and runners-up of league winners and Saudi Cup. Al Hilal has won it 5 times. They are the defending champions, the biggest draw. So this wasn't just a no-show, it was a rude awakening. And Saudi authorities, they weren't having any of it. But of course, it didn't stop there. They've also been banned from next year's tournament. The message: no club, no legacy is bigger than the dream of Saudi football. Now look, fatigue is a very valid concern. It started much before the FIFA Club World Cup took place in America. Even top European clubs like Man City voiced concerns. Pep Guardiola himself called out the packed calendar. But let's get real, no one is pulling out of major domestic events. That's what separates elite clubs from the rest. They find depth, they rotate, they show up. Remember Liverpool in 2024, half their squad was injured ahead of the Carabao Cup final. They still showed up with academy players and beat a $1 billion Chelsea side. That's how legacies are built, and that's what Saudi football needs to understand. It's not just about attracting the stars with the money, it's about discipline, commitment, and showing up every single time. Because this year's Super Cup, it's being held in Hong Kong. Fans and sponsors were expecting to see Al Hilal and their stars. Plans were made, schedules are set, and now one of the biggest clubs is missing. Now sure, Al Nassr and Cristiano Ronaldo's presence will of course make up for that, but it is about sticking to commitments, which Al Hilal failed to do. That's a hit to Saudi's image, not just Al Hilal's. So yes, credit to the authorities for taking a stand, but this isn't just on them. Clubs have a responsibility too. They need to share the load, step up and own the mission. Because you don't build a footballing powerhouse by just writing checks, you build it by showing up and competing. Playing through pain, pressure and expectations. If Saudi Arabia wants to truly rise as a footballing force, then it's going to take more than just money. It's going to take some mentality, and not just from the league authorities, but also from the clubs. Formula One is on its mid-season break, a 28-day pause for the drivers to recharge. But over in Ferrari, things seem to have reached a bit of a breaking point because their lead driver Lewis Hamilton dropped a bomb, a brutally honest, self-deprecating comment that has sent the paddock into a frenzy. He called himself useless and demanded Ferrari to replace him. That's Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, calling himself useless. So did Hamilton make a mistake leaving Mercedes? And is F1 now so ruthless that even the GOAT isn't immune? The story of the 2024 season was Hamilton's emotional farewell to Mercedes. And 2025 was supposed to be his glorious new chapter with Ferrari, the sports' biggest name in the most iconic team. On paper, a dream union.
Lewis, 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 Lewis.
Ferrari rolled out the red carpet. They gave Hamilton access to simulators, erased old Mercedes muscle memory. Everything was geared toward giving him a flying start. But reality hit faster than any F1 car on DRS. As the races began, reports of friction between Hamilton and Ferrari engineers started swirling. He brushed them off, but the cracks were there to see. No podiums, just flashes of hope. 3 fourth-place finishes and then a disaster in Hungary, P12. That's when Hamilton snapped and the self-doubt went public.
It's me every time. I'm useless. Absolutely useless. The team has no problem. You have seen the cars reach pole, so we probably need to change the driver.
Until now, Hamilton kept saying, I'm just getting started. But now he's literally asked Ferrari to consider replacing him. This isn't just pressure, this is a mental battle. And proof of how punishing F1 can really be. Just ask Daniel Ricciardo. He once said, F1 doesn't wait. It's brutal. And it's true. In this sport, results trump legacy. We've seen legends like Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel being shown the door. Now Hamilton is staring at the same road. Even Ferrari, the team with all the romance and legacy, has had zero hesitation in cutting ties in the past when results haven't come.
Lewis wearing his heart on his sleeve. He's been that emotionally transparent since he was a young boy, a young adult. So he's got to beat himself up. He's the GOAT, greatest of all time, and will always be the GOAT, and nobody's going to take that away.
Those are the words of Toto Wolff, his ex-boss, still standing by Hamilton despite the move. But that praise only fuels a bigger question. Should Hamilton have switched teams at the twilight of his career? Because while Ferrari's been trying to integrate him into their system, Mercedes has quietly staged a comeback without Hamilton. George Russell took victory in Canada and finished on the podium 6 times. So what if Hamilton had stayed? Would he have got back on top? Would he have scripted another high? Right now, all we do know for certain is this. When a champion starts doubting himself, it sends shockwaves through the garage. And in a team like Ferrari, where the pressure is relentless, patience wears thin very quickly. Lewis Hamilton isn't done yet. He's bounced back from setbacks before, so it is only about time. He's built for adversities. But Formula One doesn't hand out sympathy laps. You're only as good as your last race. And if this form continues, we may be heading towards the unthinkable. Now, sure, it won't be an ideal thing, and it is too soon to even ponder about something like that. But let's not forget, in F1, legends are made on the track, but they're broken in the silence of the pit lane.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karj mo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.